You're watching Pyro Media Network.
I could be running or I'm chasing you, but I won't. Cause I got better things to do. Rather spend my precious time chasing somebody who loves me too. If I got $1 for every time you slam the door, I would be the richest girl alive, life. If you hadn't run away every time I asked you stay, you would sleep right next to me tonight. And you didn't know me, all you wanted was a game to play. And you couldn't handle that I had my ways. About your mind tricks and your side chicks, I'm a winner, babe. And you didn't win this, it's a part of.
Thank you for tuning in. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. We hope your experience is fruitful. Please feel free to visit our website to find out how you can join our growing family. While we are loading your experience, please do us a quick favor and hit that like button from whichever platform you're watching or listening on. Also, share so others may enjoy as well. And we hope you would consider hitting that subscribe or follow button so you can check out more of our amazing content. All right, let's start the show.
Vick, Victorious! Vick, Victorious!
I just be here dancing every single time. I just be just in the mood for the vibe with the theme song. Best idea we ever had. Hello, everyone. Happy Friday, Junior. Welcome back to Dr. Victorious, where I explore the intersections of social justice, wellness, and what it means to show up fully human, especially from a Black perspective, because as you can tell, I'm Black. Hey, I'm your host. I am Dr. Nicole D. Vick. I'm Dr. Victorious. That's who I am. You know, January and February are like the season of grind. Oh, it's a new year. We got to hit the ground running. Whoa. Okay. But for many Black workers, like the year begins already carrying exhaustion. Like we already come in tired. I don't think we fully reset from the year before. So we already on a deficit already from the work that we usually do and what's going on outside. Like we sometimes carry that load into the workspace. So I have my friend Lamarr, who's going to join us a little bit later to talk candidly about burnout. I just talked to him before we came on. He was like, I talk about this all day, every day. So this is going to be a good conversation because we're going to talk about burnout prevention specifically for Black workers and why burnout is not just about workload or time management. It's about context. It's a lot going on and we have to really talk about those things. But before we do that, we gotta do the scroll stroke, the scroll stroke. I need a song for the scroll stroke, y'all. The first one is Canary in the Coal Mine. It's kind of related to the episode in a sense, because we're talking about folks at work. And it says 600,000 Black women have been removed from the workforce. This has already cost this country over $37 billion. Turns out trying to push Black women out of the workforce was not good for business. Now, I will say I did not do any background to substantiate these claims. I have a doctorate degree. I believe in double checking your sources and stuff. I do remember at one time trying to figure out where this statistic came from, and I wasn't able really to find one source. It kind of was a number of sources. I think the first time it was 300,000. No, I think first it was 200,000. Now it's 600,000. But I will say, even just my personal observation on LinkedIn, I am seeing a lot of Black women, like I was one of them, that was let go and I can't find no job. So what I always tell people, because people always say, well, Nicole, why everything you talk about is about Black people? Because we are the canary in the coal mine. When we get hit first, because we often do get hit first, it is a sign of things to come. Just because it ain't you today, don't mean it ain't gonna be you tomorrow. Just keep living, as we say, as the auntie say, just keep living and you'll see. Okay, so that's the first stroll. The second one is workplace woes. So this is a different conversation. I was actually talking to my friend Dr. Dante about this one on Tuesday. He said this new generation of workers, oh my gosh, they just too much. And he was giving this one example and we were laughing. Then I saw this on Threads. My manager was complaining about how unprofessional this new generation is with resigning jobs. He said his last employee quit by sending a message that said, "It's giving shackled, I quit." Like, what? The young ones, I feel like they are the embodiment of boundaries. Like, oh, this ain't working for me. I'm leaving. The rest of us were taught to stick it out, to suffer. Oh, head hurt. It's all right. Go to work. This generation is like, it's giving shackled. I got to go. Or, oh, I got 3 sick days. Let me take them 3 sick days. Even though I'm not sick, I'm going to take them all. And for us, it's like, don't do that, because if you really get sick, you ain't got no sick time. They literally have no concept of none of that. And in some respects, it scares the living daylights out of me. And then on the other hand, I'm like, yes, take your sick time. Quit that job. I don't know. This is an interesting thing. And then the last one is a commercial. And then we will bring on Lamarr and talk about some burnout prevention, because we don't want y'all burnt out already. It's only February. See you in a bit.
Hey, it's Pastor Kim from It's Just Kim Live Show, and you're watching Pyro Media Network.
Hey, how y'all doing? Real quick, this is Daryl Walter, host of the Daryl Walter Show. I know. And you are watching Pyro Media Network.
And we are back. We're going to be talking about burnout prevention, specifically for Black workers. I feel like we carry so much, the work, all the other things that are happening out for us. And then we go into this workspace with the microaggressions and all the things, and it just be too much. It just be too much. So we're going to try to give you some tips on how to not let this bog you down, how to release yourself from that burnout. And we just going to let's see, can we help y'all out? So I'm going to bring on my guest. Come on, Lamarr, let's talk about it. Lamarr, come do. Where you at, Lamarr? Come on. Lamarr, where'd you go? Is you here? Uh-oh, we lost him. All right, well, we're going to try to get him back. In the meantime, let's talk about it. I wrote a book. I wrote a chapter in the book. How many years ago? Was that a couple years ago? Triumph in the Trenches. And it's about sort of a navigation for Black workers and how to help them work things through. So oftentimes when we talk about burnout, it's sort of put forth as a personal issue. Like, you are burned out because you can't handle the work and it is your fault because you can't manage it. And I think what happens is, for Black workers, it shows up a little bit differently. And so, okay, come on, let's bring Lamarr on. Come on, before he leave again.
Oh, all right.
I was gonna say, did you get burned out? Is that why you
No, I'm over here pressing buttons. I'm like, yo, where did I go?
Come back.
I'm like, I pressed something else. I said, wait a minute, let me just let them bring me on. I don't know what happened.
Lord,
what up, though? What's up, Doc? How you living?
It's happened to me before myself, and they're like, we've lost you. You talking and you gone. So glad to have you here. Thank you for joining. I met you we met on LinkedIn, and I keep telling y'all, people, listeners, LinkedIn is the vibe. We met because I think I had mentioned that I was presenting at a conference on psychological safety, and you reached out and said, let's connect because I'm going to be there too. And so we connected in Pittsburgh.
Correct.
And been looking for ways to collaborate. And I think this is one of the ways we can do it. So let's just jump into it. Conversations around burnout, especially for Black folk. We often bear such a heavy burden in the workplace already, right? Work is hard for us already. We got the microaggressions and all the other things. I don't know if you think or have a thought about what makes it different for us as Black folks in the workplace that makes burnout feel so much more burned out.
For sure. And this is the space I could be myself, right? I don't need to put on any right on. I just want to make sure, because it is, where I'm on my side of the world is nighttime. So you know what I mean? I'm not my usual articulate college educated self, right? So but to answer your question directly, something you mentioned earlier when you mentioned the canary in the coal mine that I think is extremely relevant, right? I just said this to somebody a few days ago, something that either my granddad or my grandma, one of them told me, if America got a cold and Black folk got the flu, right? For whatever reason, something happens to our people, it just hits us more. And when I say for whatever reason, that makes it seem like there's not a reason for it, and there are significant, many reasons. One of the things I like to highlight is cultural context. Right, there are things that happen within a culture that just impact us differently. This is me coming from my cultural humility lens, right, where the different power dynamics at play, and we have to acknowledge the fact that these power dynamics impact us differently. It's slightly different, the intersectionality, where that kind of shows the different layers of oppression, where cultural humility speaks at it from, positionality. Right, there's different positions we operate in, and in that there's power dynamics all the time. Me and you are experts in what we do, right? That makes it a power dynamic to people who might be conveyed to. It's just a minor example. And why that's so important for us as Black folk is that when we get into these spaces, many times, I can speak for myself, I'm speaking purely from my personal experience, but I'm sure some of you all can relate, where you might be the only one or one of few, right? And that weight means something, right? So we're not just representing for ourselves. We're representing for our people, our communities, our culture, what school we went to, the struggle. Like, we representing all this stuff. And how do you show up? And that impacts our bandwidth, right? So I think that's important to acknowledge that cultural context, that we're not just, many of us still first generation, second generation college students, like, we're carrying the weight of so many things, along with a bunch of, again, other systemic stuff and all of that. But I just say that to say that the cultural context, that positionality, and then just carrying that weight along with us depletes our bandwidth, probably at a little more accelerated rate. And last thing I'll say to this point, we also, I would say, have been taught to weaponize resilience, especially Black women. In my humble experience, this is me speaking from my space. A lot of times, and Black men, we do it too, don't get me wrong, but I know Black women feel like they got to hold everybody up, and they can't, so you can't take care of yourself, you're taking care of everybody else, and you run yourself down. And then Black men, we just kind of go along to get along. We don't say nothing. We just work ourselves to the ground, right? So there's this, again, this cultural dynamic of keep going. And it's so poignant to have this conversation during Black History Month too, now I'm thinking about it. You run yourself to the ground. There's this thing called John Henryism. Are you familiar with John Henryism?
Heard of it? Yeah.
So in my master's program, I did a whole dissertation, whatever, on it, and research project, and during our racial and cultural trauma class, and it's really like using work as coping. If you know the story of John Henry, right, and the brother, I think it was Robert Carter out of Duke, he was doing research, right, public health research on rates of hypertension, and he found a correlation between people who basically overwork, right? And if you know the story of John Henry, he raced against the train, beat the train, and died.
Oh.
When I was younger, I just remember the movie, him beating the train. But I was working at a place where we had a program for people with severe persistent mental illness, and they had books that people never read. So I would read the books in between the day, and I saw the John Henry thing, and I read it. And the last page was like, John Henry died. I said, John Henry died, and that led me down this rabbit hole. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what's going on? And come to find out, he literally worked himself to death, and that's what John Henryism is. And that's, again, we talk about this cultural context, how this directly impacts us just a little bit differently. Not saying I ain't getting into the whole pain politics thing, who got it worse, I ain't getting into that. I'm simply saying that for people who look like us, come from where we come from, the impacts of work hit us a little bit different.
That, I mean, everything that you said, it's just amazing how all those things sort of play together. And one of the things you talked about is like it's like almost what I saw in my research is like it's this constant juggling of identity. You know, I gotta show up good because grandma is counting on me. I gotta keep this job because I gotta take care of everybody. It's all these things that are happening, right? And one of the other things I wanted to ask you about is, you work yourself to death, you got all this stuff going on. And for many of us, because we have been taught, either directly or indirectly, don't say nothing, because if you show weakness in this workspace, you will be demonized. So how does that silence itself contribute to the burnout? I mean, I know there's a thing about when you don't let that stuff out, to your point, it literally will kill you. But I wonder that the danger in keeping all that inside, like I can't say nothing, I can't speak up. Because last time when LaShonda spoke up, she got written up or she got demoted. So we learned those lessons in the workspace. So speak to that a little bit if you can.
For sure. Man, you touched on so many things. I feel like, again, I'm taking from my professional, personal experience of working with folks. A lot of times we was told, and it's interesting, I'm not going to say where I'm at, but the person who I'm here with at this lovely medical establishment taught me, right? You got to be 3 times better than white folks. You got to be 3 times better than everybody. You got to outwork everybody. Don't take no days off. If you get you a good job, that's the key. You better keep it. Whatever you got to do, you better keep it. And so that, what does that do, right? And something to your point, you think you're suppressing behavior. You think you're suppressing things, but they bleed out somewhere, right? The behavior is going to come out somewhere, shape, form, or fashion. And a lot of time it leads to this maladaptive coping. I can't tell you, the reason I even got into this work in the public health space is because around the pandemic, there was issues around self-care. You know, I'm a therapist, you're there, self-care. And I was working on this presentation to talk about self-care to public health professionals. And I was saying the same stuff, go for a walk, drink your water, meditate, blah, blah, blah. But to your point about identity, it made me think. I was watching somebody, and they had this title of psychologist. I ain't gonna say the brother's name because that's a whole nother issue. But he wasn't talking or acting like a psychologist. And I'm like, what is that even? It is. I scrapped the whole presentation and came back with, I'm very big on self-reflection and self-awareness. And if there's a narrative playing in my mind that if I take the day off, I take a break, if I speak up for myself, right? There's this collective trauma that we experience that we still live with, right? The intergenerational transfer of trauma and post-traumatic slave disorder and all these other things that people have put data behind to show that, hey, there's, again, a unique experience. These things we sit with, right? And back to the weaponized resilience component, it's a narrative. I can't take a break. I can't sit down. I can't rest. I can't take a break. I can't sit down. I can't rest. I got so much to do. I can't take and in public health, because we often are working in communities either similar or communities that we come from. We're trying to heal these disparities, heal these inequities, so there's even more weight. And you are the face of the medical system for so many people. That's something people do not want to acknowledge. And I say this everywhere I go when I talk about this. whether you want to accept it or not. When I show up as Lamarr Lewis, even if I'm just, coming in and doing some training or whatever the case may be, I still represent the establishment. I still represent that to people. I still represent I'm a conduit between the community and resources. And so if I don't acknowledge that, that's another weight that we carrying, even if you don't know you carrying it. Because now you got to spend time defending what you're doing. So all these things play a factor in people's inability to speak up. There's a narrative at play, right? And then again, back to these power dynamics, there's a cultural thing at play. I can tell you personal experience, I didn't want to be the angry black man. So I had to I don't speak with bass in my voice all the time. I used to. I'm different now, but when you get the good job, right, you don't put bass in your voice, you don't say certain words, you don't get to, and the only people, because I was one of few, the only people who get it are people who look like you a lot of times, in my experience, right? But then there's I don't know if I can go here today. Sometimes there's a little gender war taking place between folks, and then it's so many. You mentioned microaggressions. I'm gonna say micro wars that we're fighting, and we're not, to your point earlier, we're not collaborating, we're not looking at it from that perspective. So long story long, you got me all excited now. Time is on my side now. You know what I mean?
It's have to come back.
Oh yeah, we just, man, listen, when I say the surface is like,
right,
we just got a little bit.
But you even said something that, again, that has come up in my research. One of the participants said, I feel squeezed like a sandwich. And what I mean by that is I'm in this governmental public health space. So to your point, I am the face of this place. I'm trying to push forward health equity and all these concepts. I'm getting pushback from my superiors. But then I have relationships with community partners who are telling me I'm not doing enough. So I'm over here spinning my wheels like this. My boss is pushing back, and then the community is like, "You ain't doing enough." She said, "I feel squeezed like a sandwich." And for you to say literally what she said is crazy.
I got a bar for you. I got a bar for you. I don't even know if I should drop this on you right now. When I get into it, I got a bar for you. One of my, I say big homie, one of my best friends. He's passed away now. He was a little bit older than me. So every day I do something he said clicks. I mean, it's just amazing just how he just planted, like the concept of planting the seeds, right? So this is what he told me. He before he passed away, actually, I used to work for him before he passed away. He ended up working for me at the program I was just talking about. And he was like, one day, I was coming venting, upset about some staff was doing or whatever. And he would always say two things. First thing he would say is, what's the lesson? Right? What you gonna learn from this? I say that all the time now. It's something that shifts your perspective from complaining to kind of coming up with solutions, right? That was a free management nugget. Whoever want that, take that. Put it over there. The second thing that he gave me that I want to share, and I'm saying this is the bar based on what you just said. And I'm framing it as the middle management pressure cooker. That's how I'm framing it. But we can change it and expand it to the black folk pressure cooker. Here we go. When you get to middle management, a lot of times, I'm so glad we're in a box because it's going to make sense. Right now, we're in this box, right? Well, below us are the people that we lead. Many times, people who we used to work with, and we were just chosen to ascend. So sometimes you get some static from them, right? And just the typical management, but also if you know that familiarity breeds contempt happens at that level. On this side, we got stakeholders, right? The community, people that we serve, people that we connected to, those relationships. And like the person just said, hey, you ain't doing enough. What's going on with this? What's going on with that? Where my funding, et cetera, et cetera. Then you got the people you actually serve. You got clients, you interface with the community, and that way you actually directly providing services. You got those folks, right? But then you got the people above you, and they putting their pressure on you. So you literally in the middle of this pressure cooker. And she described it as a sandwich. She described it to me just as a box. And I just took it a step further and called it a pressure cooker because you're getting pressure from all these different directions. And when you compound that with all the stuff we've already said and the more things we can talk about, it just intensifies. And if we don't acknowledge that reality and that experience, that's why I'm so intentional about working with middle management, because I've done it, right? And it's just a different kind of thing that you've never done it before. You get big, oh, you get a raise. Oh, you get this. Oh, you get that. You're like, oh, man, I need some extra money. And you don't know what you're getting yourself into a lot of times. We didn't get into this to like manage folk. We got into this to help our communities. Yes. And then you end up managing people and nobody, I don't recall my class, and you got more education than me, so I'll defer to you. I don't recall a business class in any of my work where it said, hey, this is how you manage folk. It was just clinical, this is what you do, stats, research, this theory, this, that, but it was never really, how do I lead people in this way? How do I manage it? How do I deal with these microaggressions, this bureaucracy, and all this other stuff that I'm in the larger systemic issues that still manifest, that people act like don't manifest, make me think I'm going crazy, but I'm not going crazy because I'm dealing with it. Like all that stuff, they make you think you're crazy.
They do. They do.
No, wait a minute. You trying to tell me? I see that. You trying to tell me? No, I see it. They make you think you're crazy. We know who they is. I ain't gonna get all it. They make you think you're crazy. So to the point, that pressure cooker really is so pervasive, man. Like, and it don't even have to be just middle management. That's just the best description. It could even be any level you at, right? In this pressure cooker, getting it from all sides. And this is not even talking about the other stuff we do, like you said, at home, all the hats you wear, the roles you carry. And for many of us, I'm gonna speak for Black men. I just did a conversation last week about Black masculinity, and one of the things that, and I'm sure you will attest to this, studies show that Black men are more involved in their children's lives than any other race of people in men, right? Any other men, right? That's not the narrative, and there's many reasons for that. Not even the point. But my point is, for many of us, I use myself as an example, we're not just dads to our children, we dads to other people's kids. We big homies, we coach, we we this, we that, right? And so that also, back to this bandwidth conversation, take something away. You can't do everything. But in your mind, the narrative is, Dr. Vick, she's victorious, she can keep going. And you can. I'm not saying you can't. I'm just saying that, when you have that narrative, you put that internal pressure on yourself.
Right.
Sometimes it's not even a real thing. But
Yep. This has been
started tonight.
I know, and the bad thing is I'm about to close it out. But I think we have to have this conversation.
I'm just getting warm. I'm just getting loose. We just getting loose.
And I'm like, well, that was a great episode. So we do have to close out. But what I want to ask you is, what's the answer? So in 1 minute, what would you say to Black professionals about how to cope in this space, navigating burnout, we don't want them burned out, they navigating all this stuff. What would you say to them? I know it ain't drink water and take a nap. What would you say in 1 minute?
Identify what you can control, identify what you can impact, and identify what's not in your control, and go from there. Many times we get confused thinking there are things that we can control that we can't. And then sometimes we get confused with things we have control over that we actually really only have some impact over, right? So identifying, and I even suggest writing it out. I do this from leaders all the way down to little kids. What's in my control? What happened? What's in my control? What's not in my control? What do I have influence over? Spend energy on things you can control and things you had influence over. We can't control who's in office. We can't control the decisions they make. We cannot. I can't control how I show up for myself, how I speak up for myself and my community, the work I do, the intention, and shoot yourself some bail. If you need a break, take a break, because your body gonna make you take one whether you want to or not.
And that's the truth on that. That's that on that. Like that's how I can tell you. I think that ankle got broke. That's how that happened, because I was doing too much and I needed to be sat down. And the universe said, "Girl, come on, sit down."
It'll happen. It'll happen. It'll happen.
It will. I thank you for joining me tonight, especially given the circumstance. I won't say what it is, but thank you for joining me tonight. We will have either some come back on, or we're gonna figure something else out we need to do together, because I feel like we're talking the same language. So
indeed.
I will see you next time. Oh, well, thank you for coming. And now I can go to commercial. My bad. I'm over here acting like I don't know what I'm doing. Let's go to commercial.
It's all good.
bring it up, up. Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. Bring it back, bring it up, up. Bring it back, bring it back, bring it back. Bring it back, bring it up, up.
This was an amazing conversation. We're getting ready to do the doctor's notes. And I think really Lamarr said it best. To prevent burnout, especially for Black workers, we are doing so much. There's so many layers to the work. There's so many other internal stuff that we are dealing with, external things in the workspace, and then the realities of what's going on in our society. And I think he's right. Think about what you can control and control it however you can. And the stuff that you can't control, you kind of got to let it go. And I will add another thing. And well, he actually said this about taking care of yourself, because if you don't, and we all know this, right? As Black people, we know, baby, if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to be dealing with some issues and ain't going to be no choice, right? So I think that's the doctor's notes. That's the takeaway for today. I do want to have him back on, so we'll work on that, because I feel like he said, we only scratched the surface about some of these really, really important issues around burnout prevention and stuff that happens to Black workers specifically. So that's my doctor's notes for this week. Thank you for watching. You all know where to find me. I have a beautiful website, www.NicoleDvick.com. where you can see all the things, my guest appearances on other people's podcasts. You can see old Nicole D. Vick live episodes there. You can see all the things there. You can also purchase my books. I have 3, Push Through, 52 Weeks of Light in Tough Times, Pushing Through, Finding the Light in Every Lesson. And the latest one, which is actually very relevant to today's conversation, Triumph in the Trenches, is about helping Black professionals navigate the workforce. So it's 20-something authors. I'm one of them. Pick that book up. It's on my website. It's amazing. You can also find me on social media. I'm very proud of myself. Remember, I wasn't posting, but I'm posting almost every day now on LinkedIn and also on my Instagram, which is Dr. VICKtorious. Yay. All right, y'all. I will see you next week. I probably will do a Black History Month episode, because I'm like, what am I going to do next week? I ain't even thought about it yet. Probably talk about Black History Month. And until then, I will see you next week. Bye.
Thank you for watching Pyro Media Network. For more information, please visit pyromedianetwork.com.